So, Eric, with regard to you as a content creator, I mean, what do you do? You do it on Facebook, you do it on Instagram, you do it on LinkedIn. I mean, what other platforms do you use in terms of, and which one is the best with regard to you?
Yeah, so I actually don't use LinkedIn. I've heard it's an awesome one to jump on, but I haven't yet. But I use TikTok, I use Instagram, YouTube, and Facebook. So the way that I've broken it down, and this could be helpful if people are looking at marketing aspects, is TikTok is kind of like the showcase, right? TikTok is the pretty glass where you look in and you see the jewelry. That's the example I use. But people don't buy on TikTok. People get informed on TikTok, people get aware on TikTok, but nobody's gonna buy something on TikTok. But you can make a lot of people aware about something on TikTok. So it's kind of like this: from TikTok, you gotta bring them to Instagram. Instagram is where people buy. So if you can get your audience from TikTok to Instagram, then you can actually start seeing turnover and purchases and things like that. So what I recommend most of the time when I'm working with a brand is that we actually post on Instagram. If they're not so worried about their sales, but they want to more so focus on their following and getting more people, more eyeballs on what they're doing, then of course TikTok, because TikTok, the way that the platform is set up, it's the most organic growth you can get out of any of the platforms. You post something, you can reach anybody in the world instantaneously. And that's the way the algorithm is designed too, where anybody can see it. However, with Instagram, it's a little more geographic. It's a little more demographicized, if I can use that word, just make a word up, but it's a little more targeted. So you're not going to reach quite as much of a wide audience, but you will reach the audience that you want to reach. So that's why I use Instagram more if you want to sell something, but TikTok's for making people aware. And then YouTube is when you want to build loyalty. On YouTube, you can build a loyal following. If somebody's following on YouTube, that means they really like your content. They really like following you. And then Facebook is, honestly, most people on Facebook, it's a bit of an older audience. So that's content that's maybe geared towards, people above 30, which is totally fine. And that's, it has its own space. So yeah.
Welcome everyone on board. This includes our students, our industry partners, our alumni, and our well-wishers, both in Sri Lanka and across. Just to introduce our guest speaker for this evening, I'd like to welcome Dr. Rohan Thatporala to formally introduce our guest speaker. Doctor, over to you.
Personality today. He's an American-born but Sri Lankan at heart. He's a content creator, began in Sri Lanka when he was trying to impress the Sri Lankan fiance, and who is now his wife. From there on, his whole content creation journey skyrocketed. Songwriter, commercial shoots, the branded advertisements to films and more. He's got an audience which has grown to almost 400,000 young adults. His objective is to rewrite the norm, give hope and honor every culture with his content. Currently lives in Colombo with his wife, where they continue to expand and grow their production teams. His name is Eric Heinrichs, content creator and an amazing individual. Eric, over to you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Rohan. Thank you everybody for having me. It's an honor to just be able to share with you guys a bit and just talk about what I do, who I am, how I got where I am, and kind of the future of where I'm going. It's definitely a privilege. Thank you, Dr. Rohan. If at any point I'm not audible or if something breaks, please let me know. That way I can adjust anything that needs to be adjusted. But yes, as Dr. Rohan said, my name is Eric Heinrichs, and I'm from Texas. I was born and raised in Texas and full on with cowboys and horses, everything you picture Texas to be. That's where I grew up. And honestly, I didn't even know what Sri Lanka was until I turned about 20. So that just kind of speaks for our American education system. Maybe perhaps it's great, but our geography wasn't so good. And so when I found out about Sri Lanka, it was actually for a nonprofit organization trip. And so I came, we were doing some charity work, and I fell in love with the country. That was in 2015. I absolutely adored the country, adored the people, the food, the cultures, the mix of culture. What I love about Sri Lanka, it's a melting pot of culture. I don't know anywhere else in the world you can walk down one street, and on one street you see a Buddhist temple, a Hindu temple, a church, all in one lane, you know? So it's beautiful, it really is. And I fell in love with it. And it's actually quite interesting, Doctor and everybody, how it happened. But after that trip in 2015, I came back to America, and I kept dreaming about Sri Lanka. I actually had dreams like in the night. I kept dreaming about it. It was like Sri Lanka was haunting me almost. And but I decided to come back in 2019. And I came back, and actually at a church, I met my now wife, this beautiful woman named Manisha. And I met her, and it was just kind of one of these moments of like, whoa, who is that? It was like a movie moment, right? And we started to get to know each other, and we started to really connect during COVID times, actually during the pandemic, which actually leads to where I started doing content. So it was actually during lockdown. You know, you guys remember, I'm sure, we had months and months and months of lockdown. And it was during that time that I was on Zoom all the time with Manisha, who's now my wife. And she just started doing different kind of funny things that I noticed. Like when she would want to ask her mom for tea, she would say "ama" in a very funny way. She'd be like, "Amma, amma," you know, and I just thought it was so funny. So I just said, I'm gonna make a video about that. So I made a video just kind of reenacting her, and I posted it on TikTok and Instagram, Facebook. And the video went all over. People shared it, people loved it, they laughed. And that kind of began this journey of content creation for me in Sri Lanka. I realized how easily I could make people happy. And even today, it's awesome to see how many people message me, young adults who message me and say like, you know, your videos have saved my life. It's so rewarding to hear things like that, where people say, man, I was having a bad day and then I watched your video, or man, I really didn't feel like living anymore, but then I watched one of your videos and I laughed and it gave me joy, and it really, you know, rerouted people's lives. I've gotten voice messages from people saying like, you saved my life with your video. So that's what encouraged me, you know, and that's what inspires me to keep making these fun videos. And from making fun videos, it turned into something of monetary value, because brands started realizing the value I was bringing to the market. And so I started collaborating with different restaurants, and from restaurants, it moved to bigger brands, started working with some international brands, such as Heineken, for example, McDonald's, and KFC, and different places like that, and Pepsi, Coca-Cola. And started working with them, and it's really started growing in kind of our own little business, and we kind of turned it into a production house. We actually released our own web series. We've released music. We've done a lot of commercial shoots, corporate shoots, and also just shoots for fun. And a lot of our content has really been spread around. It's really been shared across Sri Lanka. But really, our goal in the content that we make is how can we redefine norms? How can we change the way that people view themselves and view each other? We really want to emphasize reconciliation, you know, because Sri Lanka's been through a lot. And so we want to make sure that when people watch our videos, they leave feeling wholesome, and they leave feeling like they can reconcile with somebody, like they can actually make a difference after watching the video. We don't want people to watch our videos and then feel kind of down. We want them to feel encouraged. So there's real importance and value in what we do. It's not just for, you know, the likes and the comments, which is all great, but it's really for the impact. You know, for example, we recently released a video. It was about 6 months ago, actually. We released a video talking about what happens to a girl when she goes to a kade and she asks for a sanitary pad. And a lot of there's a shock to it, you know. The uncle will put the pad, you know, into a bag and then wrap it up, and he feels very uncomfortable. And it kind of doesn't bring dignity to the girl. It makes the girl feel ashamed. Oh, should I not be going through these things? So we want to bring awareness to things like that and bring honor to every individual, so that people can really live with dignity and live with peace, in their own home. So yeah, that's kind of the heart and the goal of what we do. And now what we're doing is we're continuing, we're growing our production team by hiring editors and things like that. So it's expanding. And what's cool is now we're able to create economy for younger individuals. We recently released a music video called Oyamage, and it was so cool because we got to work with young individuals and young artists. There's this flutist who is playing in this song, and nobody knew about him, but we were able to create a platform. We were able to create a platform for him to be shown. And when it comes to the entertainment industry, there's a lot of gatekeeping that can happen. And that can happen anywhere, because people want to kind of own the stage. But for me, I want to make the stage bigger. I want to make the stage bigger so that the talent that hasn't yet been seen in Sri Lanka can be shown not just to Sri Lanka, but to the world. So, I believe that's why I'm here, is to show off Sri Lanka to the world, because it's truly a gem and it's truly a paradise. So yeah, that's a bit about who I am and what I do. I love doing it. Again, the idea is just to bring joy. As far as ideas and creativity, it's always different how the ideas come. A lot of people ask us, like, where do you get your ideas from? We spend a lot of time on them. We want to make sure it's valuable content that we're putting out. So, but the ideas come at random times, when you're taking a shower, when you're in a tuk-tuk, or when you're just sitting, or you're going for a walk, the ideas come. And that's how we create kind of unique content. It's just from this random place. Sometimes meditation comes in as well. Sometimes stilling your mind, you get ideas and things like that. But yeah, that's a bit, Dr. Rohan. I guess that's what I would share. But yeah, I'll pass it back. If there's any questions, or if there's anything you want me to elaborate on, I definitely can.
Thank you very much, Eric. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Hi. So tell us something. What are your best case studies that you've had to this whole area of content creation?
Yeah, best case studies as far as the results and impact. On YouTube, when we've done advertising, I think what's kind of happened in the industry when it comes to marketing is a lot of the marketing is very on the face. And so people feel like it's marketing. So they quickly, and I'm sure you guys are all on Instagram and TikTok and Facebook and YouTube. When something's very in your face and it's very like obvious that it's an advertisement, you don't want to watch it. Nobody wants to be sold something, but people love to buy. That's the thing. People love to buy something, but nobody wants to be sold something. So when you put it in their face, they're like, no. But when they have that feeling of like, oh, I chose, that's what they like. So we kind of did a case study on our YouTube, because we're comparing, like how we do marketing versus how, maybe other companies do it, or other agencies or other individuals do it. And we noticed that our retention rate, which is, you can track on YouTube, you can see how many people are still watching the moment you put up an ad. And we found that ours was very high. And it's because the way that we incorporate marketing into our content, it's seamless. You don't know you're being advertised to. You don't know that you're being marketed to, because we do it seamlessly. We incorporate it in a funny way, in a lighthearted way. So yeah, we were able to do a case study with that, and just kind of we were able to see the results from that. So it was quite cool. Yeah.
Rick, there's a question coming through for you, and the question is that what are the key challenges you had in terms of becoming a content creator?
Yeah, I think key challenges. Good question. I think practically, when I first started, there were some basics that you have to learn, like editing. Like that's actually a very real thing, especially if you've never been on TikTok before. Maybe you haven't used a software like Adobe Premiere to edit. That's an initial challenge. So when I first started, it would take me one whole day to make one video. But now I can make 3 or 4 videos in one day. So like right before this meeting, I just finished a video for a client and was able to send it within like an hour. So that's kind of the challenge at first. There's a big learning curve, because sometimes it feels like, man, this is taking so much time. But then there's also the challenges of, sometimes people don't like what you make. That's kind of when you're a creative person, that's one of the challenges you're going to face when you're an artist. Not everybody's going to like the art. But you have to just own what you've created and own who you are and be confident with what you've put out. Because if you have a clear conscience with what you're putting out, it's going to impact people in the right way. So yeah.
So in typical brand marketing, Eric, what we do is we first of all create the awareness levels and then post that. We will see how we can make our brand a top of the mind brand, and then post that top of the mindness. People go out there and ask for the brand. They go to the outlet and pick up the brand. And if your product performs, then you tend to repurchase it. And if 3 repurchases happen, then you become a loyal brand consumer. So, I mean, that's how the model works. So in this space, I suppose content creation is all about, creating awareness and making your brand top of the mind. So those are the 2 key boxes which you do. And of course, you have almost 400,000 following. So if you say something, it goes into that particular funnel, and then the funnel starts working. So in that perspective, could you share us one example of a brand where, the awareness levels were at X, and then once you started developing content, and then, the awareness levels picked up, and then that led to maybe the share increase? Is there a typical example of what you have done?
Yeah. I can think of a few. Let me think of the most practical example of some that we've worked with. One that came to the top of my head was worth working with Street Burger. Street Burgers is it's a local burger joint in Sri Lanka, and we were really able to see the kind of the impact of us working with them. And kind of the way that we track it best, because for us, it's hard to track how many people are actually going and purchasing a burger, right? It's hard for us to see because we don't go there every day and we don't have direct access to their accounts or anything like that. So we kind of leave that to them, And then if they work with us again, then we know, okay, it's working. With Street Burger in particular, that was one, client that we noticed, man, that was working, and they trusted us. They were coming to us and working with us. And we were able to track it by seeing, okay, before we started working with them, they had X amount of followers, and then after they had this much amount of followers. So that was one that we noticed an increase in. It happens a lot with hotels too. When we work with a hotel, we always check before we go to the hotel, when we're doing a branded collaboration, we check how many followers do they have now, and we set a goal. So let's say we go there and they have 500 followers. We say, okay, by the time we leave, they'll have 1,500 followers. So we set a goal and we push for that. We post stories, we post our content, and we aim for that goal so that we at least get an awareness. And that's the way that we're best able to track, because we can't track the accounts or how much money they're actually making afterwards, unless the client's comfortable to share it with us. And of course, but mostly we track the following. We track the awareness. We track, okay, how many likes is their page getting now? So that's kind of our way of following up. So, yeah.
So Eric, with regard to you as a content creator, what do? You do it on Facebook, you do it on Instagram, you do it on LinkedIn. What other platforms do you use in terms of, and which one is the best with regard to you?
Yeah, so I actually don't use LinkedIn. I've heard it's an awesome one to jump on, but I haven't yet. But I use TikTok, I use Instagram, YouTube, and Facebook. So the way that I've broken it down, and this could be helpful if people are looking at marketing aspects, is TikTok is kind of like the showcase, right? TikTok is the pretty glass where you look in and you see the jewelry. That's the example I use. But people don't buy on TikTok. People get informed on TikTok, people get aware on TikTok, but nobody's going to buy something on TikTok. But you can make a lot of people aware about something on TikTok. So it's kind of like this. From TikTok, you got to bring them to Instagram. Instagram is where people buy. So if you can get your audience from TikTok to Instagram, then you can actually start seeing turnover and purchases and things like that. So what I recommend most of the time when I'm working with a brand is that we actually post on Instagram. If they're not so worried about their sales, but they want to more so focus on their following and getting more people, more eyeballs on what they're doing, then of course TikTok, because TikTok, the way that the platform is set up, it's the most organic growth you can get out of any of the platforms. You post something, you can reach anybody in the world instantaneously. And that's the way the algorithm is designed too, where anybody can see it. However, with Instagram, it's a little more geographic. It's a little more demographicized, if I can use that word, just make a word up, but it's a little more targeted. So you're not going to reach quite as much of a wide audience, but you will reach the audience that you want to reach. So that's why I use Instagram more if you want to sell something, but TikTok's for making people aware. And then YouTube is when you want to build loyalty. On YouTube, you can build a loyal following. If somebody's following on YouTube, that means they really like your content. They really like following you. And then Facebook is, honestly, most people on Facebook, it's a bit of an older audience. So that's content that's maybe geared towards, people above 30, which is totally fine. And that's, it has its own space. So, yeah.
Superb, Eric. Fantastic. So if I just look at a bit of data, the internet penetration in Sri Lanka is around 86%. As at 22 end, and there are around mobile phone subscribers happens to be about 29 million, which means that some have two phones, kind of a thing, because we have only 21 million population, of which active smartphone users are around 8.2 million.
Wow.
Right, so 8.2 million on 21 million, it tells you, who are the people who have the highest in terms of what kind of reach do you get on the social media platforms.
Yeah.
So the maximum you could get is around 8.2 million would be the kind of ideal sweet spot that you can get into. So from your following, your highest is where? Is it on TikTok or is it on Instagram?
Yeah, highest is on TikTok. So on TikTok itself, we have over 200,000. And then on Instagram, we have about 60,000. On YouTube, we have another 40,000. And on Facebook, it's about 20,000. And then Manisha, my wife, has her own following as well, which is quite cool. So she's got, about 40,000, I think, on TikTok and 20,000 on Instagram. But it's like this, with TikTok, the followers aren't as committed. So if you're looking at commitment, it's a funny way to say it, but followers aren't as committed, but they'll watch your stuff. On Instagram, people who follow you have a bit more commitment, and on YouTube, they're really committed. So that's kind of the way that from my experience, what I've seen. Yeah.
So 8 divided by 21, we are looking at about 38% of the population can be reached using mobile phones.
Yeah, amazing.
That's. I mean, what is your view? Is that very strong against the countries that you worked in?
Yeah, no, I think that's awesome. I think 38%, because you have to also look at where, because it's the people in the hubs and in the big cities that kind of affect the whole and affect the mentality. So to me, of course, it could be bigger and it'd be great if more people could, just because there's valuable information that can be learned through the mobile phone. It's not just for entertainment purposes, it's for information, it's for impact, it's for growth, sometimes for spirituality purposes. So it'd be awesome, of course, if it was even higher than 38%. But if you look at the way that influence works, it's those people who have access to that information who are then going to actually impact and affect that other percentage who isn't as connected. So yeah.
Thanks, Eric. I mean, it's great. So how do you keep your brand alive? I mean, how do you keep on saying, okay, I'm going to move from 400,000 to a 1 million following?
Yeah. Yeah, I know it's good. So for me, it's about connecting, and this is true for anybody, and I'm sure you guys, have this core value, but it's really about, having a purpose behind what you're doing. So for myself, it's not just the numbers. I'm not getting numbers for numbers' sake, but the numbers come because we have a big purpose of. For myself, I have the privilege of really knowing, man, I'm alive for a reason. You know, that's an awesome feeling. It's an awesome feeling to wake up and know like, man, my life is valuable. I'm special. I'm loved. I have significance on this planet. But a lot of people don't have that feeling. A lot of people don't wake up with that feeling. A lot of people wake up with, because of their surroundings, their environment, because, you know, of their upbringing, you know, they don't have that honor. And so for us, that's what drives us. How can we give every person in Sri Lanka that feeling of like, man, I have a purpose. I'm not just a tuk driver. I'm not just a bank worker. I'm not just this thing or that thing, but I have a reason for being alive. And that's what we want to give to people. And so I think the following is kind of a bonus to being led by that drive. So for me and Manisha, when we're doing work, of course, we're thinking, awesome, we got this many likes or this many follows, but we're thinking also, how many people are getting a different feeling? You know, how many people are like, man, look what they're doing. I can be happy like that. I can enjoy life like that. So that's the things we want to impart. So yeah, hope that makes sense.
So yeah, Eric. So now, for instance, I mean, right now you're on 3 platforms. You're on this exclusive platform where a select group of people are on. Then you're also on the Facebook platform, and then you're also on the Interlink platform, which can reach about 2,500. 4,000
Awesome.
people between the ages of 20 and maybe 30, 35. So
Yeah.
that's a current reach you're having on what you're doing today as you speak. So if you look at your breakup between TikTok and Instagram, what kind of profile of people is you attracting right now?
Yeah. So on both the platforms, I mean, if I look at my own stats and details, most of the people that are following us are between 18 and 24. And then the next group is between 24 and 30. So those are the 2 highest. And the next after that would be 16 and below. And then the rest would be everybody above that. But mostly it's this younger, I mean, people younger than myself that are following us. And it's really cool. It's really an honor, Dr. Rowan, when we go out in public and people come up to us and recognize us, especially the young ones, because we're seeing how we're inspiring the next generation. We're seeing how we're inspiring the young ones to have that, I guess that social awareness that we're able to bring through our platform, you know, and we're able to teach things, you know, subtly teach things, because, you know, sometimes the kids might not listen to their parents, but they might listen to the random dude on TikTok, you know, so it's cool to be able to bring that value. So
one last question, Eric. How do you look at Sri Lanka tourism, and are you promoting any tourism brands towards a more global audience?
Yeah, you know, we had the privilege of meeting with the tourism board actually on some projects, and they're of course they're passionate about now starting to work more and more with TikTokers actually, and that was a cool meeting because they talked about, okay, how can we work with TikTokers specifically, because it's one of the best ways to you know, branch out what Sri Lanka is as a brand. And so yeah, and if you look at most of my posts, you'll see this little hashtag. I put hashtag visit Sri Lanka. So pretty much everything that I post, I put that hashtag visit Sri Lanka just in case somebody sees it and they're like, where's this guy? Oh, visit Sri Lanka. So you know, I want people to experience what I've experienced in Sri Lanka, because it's a beautiful country. And so yeah, a lot of what we do is connect to that, and we've worked with plenty of hotel brands and different travel brands as well, you know, just to bring that awareness and that love for the country. So
thank you very much, Eric. Lovely meeting up with you. It's a nice window that you opened up for today's discussion, you know, as to how people engage a blogger, and then of course how that person keeps that brand alive with relevant content. And then from that content, you know, you start reaching people and getting people to experience brands. And then when they experience it, they would actually go and purchase it. And if the product lives up to the expectation, you have people coming and saying, I'm going to repurchase it. And then, your market share starts picking up, and then you start making money in terms of turnover and profit. So it's a beautiful cycle that a lot of people don't know, I mean, a lot of people say, okay, we have a blogger, I'm going to use influencers in terms of pushing my brand, but they don't know how, the influence and the blogger alone is not going to start driving your sales up. You got to make your product available in the relevant outlets, which is at arm's range. The brand must be priced properly, because if they go up and say, I want to buy the product, and then you realize that it's not in line with the affordability criteria, then the brand falls on the ground. But then you can't blame the blogger, you can't blame the content creator, because end of the day, the pricing is wrong. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. And there's a lot of things to look at. 100%.
But let's assume your availability is there and the price is right, then your product has to perform, and if the product doesn't perform, again, you can't blame the content creator and the influencer or the blogger, because end of the day, people are saying, I tried your burger, and your burger is not good.
Exactly.
Right? So it's a tough one. Sorry, I need to ask you one question. Have you been faced with a situation where you have done content, you read the correct target group, and then the target group comes and tells you, Eric, why did you do content for these guys? Because that product is bad.
Yeah. So it's an awesome question. So we haven't had that, but that's because when the product's bad, we don't advertise it. To be honest, we've had some come to us, reach out to us, and sometimes it doesn't fit our brand. Sometimes it's not. We've had different things where people wanted us taking shots or something. In our videos, we're like, no, that's not our brand. We don't want to do that. Because we know our audience. We know we have a young adult audience, and we don't want to encourage them just getting getting intoxicated like that. And then we've had, different brands, we've had lots of cupcake companies reach out to us, and they were just bad cupcakes. And so we just didn't, sometimes shirts, they've sent us the shirt. We're careful with clothing because there's a lot of clothing brands out there. So we always ask, can you send us the clothing first? Let us wear it for a few days. Let us wash it. Let us put it on again and see if the quality is maintained. Then we'll advertise. And so we have had some who've sent it and it just didn't hold up. And so we said, hey, sorry, we love what you're doing, but this is our feedback. We don't feel comfortable advertising, but here's our input of how you can improve it. And then in the future, let's work together. So that's kind of the way we've handled it. But of course, sometimes, if we do an advertisement for something like a big brand like Pizza Hut, it's very subjective. Some people love it. Some people hate it. We like it. So we've worked with them, but then you always have people going like, I don't like Pizza Hut. So you have that, that happens sometimes. So sometimes things are subjective to different people's, own taste. So, yeah.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Eric. And I'm appealing to our clientele, which is about 4,000 to 4,500 on the 3 platforms. Please say hi to Eric. Please follow Eric so that then we support his very youthful, dynamic way in which he is giving leadership to different brands, and how relevant he has become in terms of building his own brand, Eric, into the marketplace of Sri Lanka. And we are so fortunate, Eric, that you have got married to a Sri Lankan, and you continue to live in Sri Lanka. And it's really wonderful meeting up with you. Ruth, are you around?
Wonderful. So to wrap up with today's session, what I would like to say is, Eric, you being a foreigner, you have truly shown patriotism towards Sri Lanka. And being a Sri Lankan, I feel honored to have you as part of this big family called Sri Lanka. So thank you so much for also, like Dr. Handawal said, for truly showing leadership in terms of coming out and thinking out of the box in these unprecedented times and truly building a brand, your brand, and helping other brands grow as well. So with this, we have come to the end of this session, and I would like to remind our industry partners that at APET, we have an intensive internship program for all our students, including business, computing, and law. So if you do have any opportunities, please do send those vacancies our way. And to wrap up, I'd like to thank our technical team, our IT team for their technical support throughout this session, our fellow students, our alumni, industry partners, well-wishers here in Sri Lanka and across the world. Thank you so much. And Eric, thanks again for being with us
Thank
and
you.
sharing your inputs. So have a good day, a good evening, a good night from wherever you're joining in. Take care till we meet next time.